Shannon. Now this is podcasting.
Good morning. Hope you don't have headphones on, cause your life is over as we know it. You can no longer hear. Guys, as Jason's children so often bless us with that intro, they say, welcome to Work Hard. I'll say it too. Welcome to Work Hard. With me is my co-host, Jason.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, Jason. Guys, we've got an episode for you. All previous episodes, they were a joke.
They pale in comparison.
You don't even understand what you're about to get. The little gift of wisdom, the nuggets of knowledge that are going to flow from the lips of Jason and I. I'm running out of jokes here.
Basically, in order to appreciate how fantastic this episode is, you really have to go and listen to all previous 66 episodes.
Yeah. And like all of them and comment that we're like cool and handsome on all of them. That's how you can get the full breadth of knowledge here.
We'll even take it if you comment saying we're ugly. We just want the comments.
I won't.
Okay.
I'll be deeply personally offended because I am ugly and insecure about it. So when somebody says I'm ugly, it really hurts. It cuts very deeply into my
that's not
soul.
That's sad.
It
Tell
is
Ethan
sad.
is handsome.
Thanks,
He's
guys.
got a well-trimmed beard, good haircut today.
I do.
He's looking sharp.
I do. I'm going to be in front of customers for the next 2 weeks, so I had to groom. Yeah. Unfortunate. I'm meeting, I don't know if I should say this out loud because it might, that's fine. I'm meeting with the CEO of Toyota.
Oh?
Yeah. I
Wow.
have a dinner with him tomorrow night.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Tell him to pull the manufacturing out of Mexico.
I am going to try to figure out how we can get the Land Cruiser back in the U.S. because they make the real ones still, like in Australia and Japan and stuff.
Okay.
And it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so sick.
But they're not available here?
They're not. You can't buy them here. And I think it's an American regulatory issue that will be done away with under Trump.
Okay.
But I will have the ear of the Toyota CEO tomorrow night.
Like,
so
just on a personal curious
I
note,
will
sir.
100% believe it's. I will be like, hey man, just throwing it out there, just curious. What's going on with the Land Cruiser?
When can I get one made here?
Yeah, can we get? I'll ask him. Can you guys ship me one? I'll pay for it.
I'm good for it, bro.
Well, that's the kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff that are like the benefits of jobs like these. When it's
Right,
like,
when you get to
you
they're
get
like,
to meet.
yeah.
Yeah. Like you get to meet like NFL players and stuff sometimes because you like your company sponsors something in the
Right.
box or whatever, and so it's like
And they're like, we got to go meet all these salespeople.
yeah. Well, it's like part of the thing that happens sometimes is that like you attract customers to come to your event because it's like you're gonna have some like retired NFL player there from
Okay.
like when they were kids, so it'll be like cool for them to meet or whatever. So yeah, it's one of the advantages. One of the things you get to do is say things like, "Hey, can I have a real Land Cruiser? Can I have the 70 series, please?"
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's
exciting.
enjoying some of the big things in life. But
Yep,
we're going
enjoying
to
some of
talk
the
a little
big
bit
things.
in the intro here about enjoying the little things and
Yeah.
how it's easy to get caught up, just to get so caught up in where you're going and what you've got to do. You're so much in your own head. You're so much staring at your little electronic box
or working.
that you
Figure
don't
the kids.
notice the little bits of beauty. Not the little bits of beauty. Everything's beautiful in some way, even if creation has been tainted by sin and it's imperfect and it's broken, there are still radical amounts of beauty around you all the time. And I think it's incredibly therapeutic to just take a second, take a few breaths, walk outside for 5 minutes, and study something small and detailed. Go look at some moss up really close. Especially things, I think it's really neat to try and find the beauty in things and the fascinating parts of things that you normally would consider mundane.
Yeah.
Go put your hands on some grass in your lawn and appreciate grass and look at the diversity of the kinds of grass. Can you imagine? I don't know how many kinds. I'm assuming there's hundreds, if not thousands, of different kinds of grass in the world.
It's got to be millions.
There's tons that you can just get for your lawn.
Right.
Lots of them.
Right.
Or for pasture.
Yeah.
for grazing animals. And
Over the entire
diversity
planet, surely there's a million. There's got to be something like that.
Yeah, I guess depending on how much you break it down. But if you just that's one example.
Yeah.
For instance, we're in my bunker house today, and the soil walls all around my house, it's all this, hard packed red sand and clay, and a lot of, if you look really closely, it just looks like New Mexico cliffs.
Yeah.
Like Red Hills sheer cliffs and drop-offs if you look on a micro level. And it's really cool to go and just imagine for a second that you're if you were as tall as a pinhead, these
Yeah.
Have you ever done that, this perspective game?
Oh yeah. I mean, I was 9
kid-like
one time.
thing. Yeah, exactly. It's a kid-like thing, but if you retain that, you retain a lot of your wonder.
Right. Yeah, of course. Well, of course. Yeah.
So you've got to touch back in with your your 9-year-old. But there's all these cool little cliffs and spires and whatnot just outside my windows here, which if you take a second to look is really fascinating. You could spend a good bit of time just looking at them and picturing them as thousands of feet tall.
Right, yeah, it's almost Martian.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it would be kind of Martian.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, man, oh my goodness. I thought I was tired, but my brain is firing off right now. There's I think one of the distinct advantages of being saved as an adult is that you get to have, I don't remember which verses or whatever it's covered in scripture, but the Bible talking about what it's like to be a Christian and seeing everything in new color and in new beauty and stuff like that, and being able to like distinctly remember how I saw the world when I was like 19 versus how I see the world now is, I think it's a very Christian virtue, this idea of savoring the little things. Because I used to just not think much of like the wildflowers out here.
Yeah.
Because they grow everywhere.
Right. It's easy to discount them because they're common.
Yeah. And like when we moved back out here, and even still this summer, it'll happen to me. I'll be driving around listening to, Coulter Wall or something, and be driving through the heat and the green and the wildflowers and all that stuff. And I will cry. Like I'll see it and like, I'll be like,
yeah.
My wife will.
It's beautiful.
And I'll be like, "You like living out here?" She's like, "Yeah, I love it a lot." And she'll start crying, and then we'll both be crying, like driving to church on Sunday or something.
Bonding.
Yeah. And there's
that's why you guys are always red-eyed when you get to church.
I cry so much.
Yeah.
I cry all the time. I cried at church yesterday.
Did you?
Yes, when we hit the "In Christ Alone."
I love that song.
Oh, dude! As soon as we hit it. In Christ alone, I even before that, I picked up the paper and I looked down at it and I saw it and I said out loud to my wife, "Oh boy!" And she immediately knew what was about to happen, dude. Because I just had I got kicked in the nuts this week, and so like
it was
just
it was really helpful to hear that.
Yes, dude. And I made it. I was like, Abigail wanted to listen to a song on the way home, and I said, "Nope, we're listening to another song, babe. I'm sorry, we'll listen to it after this." And then I just listened to it like this. Driving home, trying not to cry, but Chesterton writes. No, what? There's another quote. I don't remember who it's by, but it's like the mark of maturity in a man is realizing the beauty in the home that you came from, something like that. So that's not the quote by any means, but it's that captures the essence of what it is. Like a mark of maturity in a person is realizing the beauty of the place that you came from. And Chesterton has this quote that will make you cry. That is, many men or many people, whatever, many men start this journey out. They grow up in a little cottage on an English hill, thinking that their life is mundane and ordinary, and they will set out searching for adventure, looking to slay giants, and they will get just far enough away from their home to turn around and see that their house is on the belly of a giant the entire time.
Yeah.
That'll get you. And so there's like these, it's a choice. Like cynicism is a choice. and I have like very little patience these days for people who do not see the beauty in life. It's like, the Alex Jones, it's teeming with detail. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
life is this insane thing that never stops presenting you with beauty beyond your ability to like comprehend.
Yeah.
It's like overwhelming, like makes you feel almost insane sometimes. And there's like, it's why the Studio Ghibli or whatever Miyazaki's studio is called, like why Hayao Miyazaki's stuff is so good, like why I love it so much, is because you can tell it's like it's Lewisian, because like you can tell how much Lewis loves life and like loves things. And Chesterton talks about how the Lord has this like childlike, like, you pick a little girl up and you throw her in the air and she goes again, again. And she wants to hear it over and over and over again. My daughter has just been making this joke. She hit her funny bone the other day and and it hurt. And my wife picked her up and said, "Oh, honey, did you hit your funny bone?" And she was crying. And I said, "Abigail, tell mommy it's not a funny bone, it's a hurty bone." And Abigail thought it was so funny. And so for the past 3 days, she's been going, "Daddy, hit your elbow, hit your elbow." And then I hit my elbow and I go, "Ow." And she goes, and she's laughing so hard she can barely get it out. She's like, is that your funny bone? And then you go, "No, it's not my funny bone, it's my hurty bone." And she like just red in the face, falls on the ground laughing. And Chesterton talks about how here we go again, brother. Here it is. When the Lord makes each daffodil, he has the exact same amount of childlike joy and pleasure and fascination as he did when he made the last 10 million daffodils. Like, it never, ever gets old. It never gets old. The wind never gets old to the Lord. Like, his fascination and love and compassion for the things that he creates never wanes an ounce. Like, he is just as interested in you and me and as each speck of dirt as he is as the last. And it's like, so it's extremely cynical and anti-human and anti-existence not to be fascinated by the sound of your truck's engine when it turns over in the morning, and like not to love the little things. It's like the purest, most human thing you can do is to love,
observe
and love those blades of grass and the red dirt. And I used to not, and now I do. And that's one of the distinct things that I will cherish, that I don't regret about not being a believer for so long, because I get to consciously remember
what it was like to not be one.
Yeah, resenting the red dirt and thinking it was ugly.
Oh, gotcha.
And thinking like all the like bramble that grows out here is just like gross, and everything's not cool, and I want to be in the city where it's like cool and fun.
Right. And
then coming back out here as a believer and being like astounded, being like literally knocked breathless by how gorgeous the drive is from my house to my parents' house.
It's just why people can live in so many different places, is because God made all those places. So even the ones that seem the most bleak, and they're not the ones that make postcards.
Yeah.
Even in like the high desert of, Idaho, there's still, we have this painting that we bought when we took a trip to Idaho when we were planning on thinking about moving there back in 2019 before COVID hit and the prices priced us out of it. But just the different colors of like sagebrush.
Yeah.
The slight variations in it. There's a lot of kind of that lonely western beauty, the cowboy.
Yeah.
The cowboy beauty of those long, flat stretches with hills in the distance, even if it's all pretty much brown.
Yeah.
It's like there's a certain beauty to that too, to the simplicity and repetition of it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a romance.
There's definitely an emotion to the wide open range, which kind of the cowboy culture in the West has encapsulated.
Yeah.
And God made that.
God made it.
There's a reason it's beautiful. It's not because cowboys discovered it, but cowboys appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pioneers appreciated it.
Yeah. Bob Fudge is I don't know if it's Coulter Wall's song, but Coulter Wall is the most recent person I know of to sing it. If it isn't a Coulter Wall song,
Okay.
and it is like one of the most beautiful, simple man and his guitar, like singing about Montana, and
Yeah.
like the beauty and essence of like Montana.
Yeah.
And the rivers and the mountains, and like it's such a profound.
What's the name of it?
Bob Fudge.
Oh, that's the name of the song.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's a guy. There was a guy named Bob Fudge who was born in Texas, who got inducted into the Cowboy Hall of Fame, who had this like brutal life of like half his family was killed by Indians when he was a kid, and then he was.
Flip that chord over.
Oh yes. He got married and his wife got sick and died. And so in order to make money, he left his son with his mom and his aunt and like went out to Montana to be a cowpuncher and and his son died. His son got sick and died. And so it was just him. He was the only one left of like his entire family. Everyone else died. And it was just him. And he like became this like prolific cattle rancher and like built this, American institution out there in Montana.
Wow.
And just one of history's great men, Bob Fudge. Great song. And I bet Bob Fudge enjoyed the little things.
Sounds like you would have had to.
Yeah. So, wow, that was pretty. I feel like it was a kind of a heavy opening, but it was good. I feel better.
Substantive.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. All right, well, do we want to... It feels almost strange to be like, all right, let's talk about funny movies.
Well, I got
couch
my
cushions.
recommendation plays into that.
Okay, well then hit us with your couch cushions recommendation.
So my couch cushion recommendation is My Side of the Mountain. And hold on one second. Okay,
And we're back.
All right. Had to look up the author. I apologize about that. I was unprepared. So My Side of the Mountain was written by Gene Craighead George. It was published in 1959. It's a novel. It's a pretty easy read. It follows the story of a boy who runs away from home in the city to live on his family's old farm. So the farmhouse is gone, but the land is like this. It's a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes and finds the ruins of it. So I guess it's still in the family name. So it's technically like his family's land still,
Yeah.
but nobody lives there. And he wants to go off and live off the land for whatever reason. So he runs away from home to go and do that. And it's just about him figuring out how to live off the land. He gets like some library books. He gets help from locals. He goes like diving in the water for like to collect mussels and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's all about him foraging, and he eventually like captures a baby peregrine falcon, which he raises and trains it to hunt for
Okay.
him. So
Yeah.
it provides like food for him in the wintertime by catching rabbits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he describes he's got he like burns out, he finds this big tree, like a huge tree that has kind of a fissure in it, and he scrapes out the inside of it and burns it out a bit to make his house in the trunk of this gigantic tree. And he covers there's a hunter who shoots a deer, and the deer dies nearby him, and so he like throws a cloak over or something like that. He hides the deer from the hunter until they leave, and then he has meat that he's able to provide, but he also keeps the skin, and he uses that for the door flap. And so it talks about the successes and failures of him just living off the land on this mountain.
Yeah.
And eventually, like the next year, his parents come up and find him. I think they alleviate the worry or the concern about that somehow in the book. I don't remember.
Okay.
It's not like his parents didn't care that he left or that they were unloving, and he didn't run away because he was upset. It wasn't anything like that. It was just
He just wanted to have an
he
adventure.
was a city boy who wanted to live off the land
Yeah. Okay.
on
Nice.
his grandfather's farm. It was like probably, I would say, is my favorite childhood book of
Yeah.
all time. I would put that at the top.
Sounds
the
like
one I reread the most.
That sounds like a very Jason story right there. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
No surprise there.
No surprise. Mine is Wayne's World. Nowhere near as profound. It's Michael Myers and what is that guy's name? Dang it. I know it. I know his name. I just can't remember it right now. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Very good. It's I think it was made in the 80s. Might have been made in the 90s. But very funny movie aping metalheads, dudes who like to listen to like Motley Crue and like Led Zeppelin and stuff. Which is, have you ever seen the show Adventure Bros?
No.
Oh my goodness, dude. That's another animated show that I don't know that it's like worth actually watching, like for real, like sitting down and watching it, but there are like several instances. There's this one character, I forgot his name, but he's this big ripped blonde guy, and he's like Rambo, basically. He's like super awesome, and like anytime any of the other military people like meet him, they're like, oh, it's him. And he's like trying out for something. I don't remember the details of this. It was a long time since I've seen it, but he does this like test, and he has to like shoot these like things or whatever, and he's like, no guns, I don't use guns. And the guy's like, what are you talking about? You have to. And then the test starts, and he takes the guns and he uses them as boomerangs to like knock the stuff off, whatever. He does all these tests, and at the end of it, he's standing at, like in front of the desk, this bureaucrat who's like ranking the test or whatever, and he's like, how did I do? And he says something, whatever. I don't remember exactly how it, but he says something about Led Zeppelin, and he goes, what are you saying, little man? That you don't like Zepp? And it's just really good. And the bureaucrat gets up, and he's like, my father was General something. You saved his life in the whatever valley. He spoke of you as a god. And he's like, and the guy just says nothing, keeps staring off, and he's like, and you did not disappoint. And he just like gives him like an A+ or whatever. But he like didn't do the test in any way. Like he didn't like actually
like you're
do
supposed
it.
to.
Yeah. What are you saying, little man? That you don't like Zepp? It's just very. Anyways, so it's
funny.
making fun of guys like that. Like, and so there's like, Michael Myers' character is Wayne. And he's like kind of fat, like a little tubby. You know, he's not really fat, but he's just like a little tubby, whatever. And that's kind of funny because it's not like how they usually, you know, whatever. He's got the long hair. He's got a super hot girlfriend. It's just very, very good movie. Very like fun loving. It's got the dip in the middle where it's like, oh no, things are not going well. And then,
right.
You know, so it's just really good. Like
Everything comes together in the end.
Yeah, everything comes together in the end. But it's very like, it's like Hot Rod. Like it's just like a movie to watch. You and your boys, or like you
I
and
do
your
like Hot Rod.
You and your, it's maybe my favorite movie of all time. You and your boys, like you and your dad. It's a great movie if you want to sit down and watch with your dad.
Okay,
that'd be a great one. My dad was the one that showed it to me, and it's just so, there are so many little elements, so many good little jokes, a lot of there's like whatever, never mind. You can go into it, but you'll see. If you want to watch the movie, you'll get it. So yeah, that's mine. Wayne's World. Very good one. Party Time. Excellent. What's the,
What's the what?
I don't know. What are we talking about today? What are we talking about?
Ready to go to the main topic?
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's fire it off.
Okay. Here's the main topic, y'all.
Here's the main topic. We are talking today about, that's what it is. Yeah, when your life gets busy, when things get, I guess just like when stuff
when
gets...
you feel like you're drowning and someone's stepping on your head.
Yeah, exactly. When you feel like you're backed into a corner. And I think one of the things that you said when we were talking about it was, you know, feeling like your family's the busiest you guys have ever been and nothing's moving.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good way to kind of describe it, like that dread or anxiety that comes from that.
Just the overwhelming sense of there's so much to do.
Yeah.
Only 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
And especially if you're sick on top of it.
Oh my goodness, dude. Yes.
How are you supposed to get anything done?
Yeah.
Everything requires so much more money and time and effort
than you
have to put towards it.
Yeah.
Any one thing requires it, and you've got 6 of those things.
Yeah.
We've talked in the past, we have an episode about how to eat an elephant, and it's one bite at a time. But this is, you know, when you feel like you've got 4 elephants sitting around going bad really quickly.
Yeah,
you're
what do you do?
trying to eat them.
Yeah.
The property's getting really stinky with these rotten elephants sitting around.
Yeah.
We got to do something about it.
Yeah, man. These raccoons are starting to show up.
Yeah, the scavengers are getting fierce.
And they will. They'll get fierce, too. They smell blood in the water. They show up. Yeah, dude, I think the reason we chose this topic, so to give you guys a little background, is Jason and I have a list of like topics we might want to talk about. We run through them. We pick one. The reason we chose that one today, I think, is because Jason and I are both in this boat a little bit. I just had like I said, a brutal week, and dropped a couple balls, and lots of stuff didn't get done. And, I got a to-do list literally dozens of items long that still isn't done, and I'm traveling, and I'm sick. So just very topical for us. And I think both of us have probably gotten, at this point in our lives, pretty good at dealing with these times. And so it just made sense. Made sense to bring this up.
I'd say it's relative. Yeah, so I mean, I think the more of these times that you go through, it's like with anything, practice will make you better at coping with it.
Yeah.
The more you pray about it too, the more you pray for peace and calm and the ability to triage it correctly and go, this is the priority. I have 7 things I should be doing today, could be doing, that I want to do. What's actually the most important thing?
Yeah.
And not doing the thing you just want to do or that's an easy win. Maybe that's the right move. Sometimes it's the right move to just knock something out because you need that win.
Yeah, yeah.
So sometimes that's worth doing just for the morale boost.
Right, yeah.
It's like, get it off your plate. One less thing banging around in your head.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the way I could kind of stage this for people is, so my company just got acquired by a much larger company, by one of the biggest companies in the world. And we are on the go-to-market team. I'm in sales, so we're the revenue side. So we're the side that almost everyone's looking at all the time. And it's a publicly traded company, so it matters a lot. And there's the concept I want to introduce here that I think I want to talk about here is Nietzsche, I think, said this, which is that a man with a strong enough why can survive any how. So if you have a strong enough reason to be doing what you're doing, then you can take anything. You can
eventually figure out how it's going to happen.
Yeah, and you can take anything. You can get hit with anything, and you won't fold. And so I'll give you a little juxtaposition. So we're in this environment, right? This new environment, and it's very, very it's very high pressure. There's a lot of people looking at what we're doing. The people that I work with and my boss and our team. And it's extremely easy to get spun out. And every day for the past 2 months rather, I've been feeling it a lot and quite anxious and feeling a lot of turmoil. But I have a very strong why, which is the Lord. I do have a sense that I'm literally taking part in the colonization of the human race by Christ and his church. And so it's very easy for me to stay nested in that and find strength in that and lean into that when I'm feeling weak.
Stay in the fight.
Yeah, stay in the fight. My boss, however, is a pagan, secular.
By that, for anyone out there listening who's secular, we don't mean that they sacrifice goats or worship Satan per se.
It's just not a Christian.
We just mean not Christian.
Yeah.
It sounds like a harsh word.
It is. It is a harsh word. It is a slur. And I do mean it as a slur, but
fair enough, yeah. If you don't confess Christ as your Lord and Savior, you're a pagan.
Yeah. Sorry.
You are on Satan's side.
Yeah.
Whether you think you are or not.
Yeah. So my boss is a pagan and doesn't have. He has a girlfriend. He has no roots. He has no. And by the way, there's a chance that he might hear this at some point, but because.
Well, maybe he needs to.
Yeah. Listen,
It's out of love. It's not.
Yeah, shouts out my boss. You are actually kind of sick. Not kind of sick. You're pretty sick. Just chill, bro. People do like you. You don't have to, whatever. You don't have to reach for that. People like you already. I like you. But he cracked this week under the pressure and went at me and a couple of my coworkers pretty hard. Like inappropriate, almost bordering on emotionally unstable, like went at us. And it sent me into quite the spiral. And I was calling my dad and trying to figure stuff out. And I had a moment where I maybe caved a little bit, cracked a little bit on, I think it was Thursday. I was in my office chair, folded over, crying as usual. And I wasn't even crying. I was like sobbing, like weeping. And I was praying and I was asking God why he was doing this to me. And I ultimately ended up saying
a real Davidic Psalms prayer.
Yeah. What do you want from me?
Why have you turned your back on me?
Yeah.
God?
Why are you turning your back on me? Are you real? Are you even there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me? And ultimately I ended up saying, I quit. And I was thinking about how I have talked about so often on this show in particular about, being Frodo and not giving up and taking things one step at a time. And it is just at your worst, just don't give up. Just keep walking. Just don't give up.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that when I was saying, I quit. I don't want this anymore. I don't want hyper premium. I'll be a janitor. I just want to play video games and be left alone. Please. I can't handle this. I cannot do this. And, I just want this all to go away. Please just make it go away. And my boss doesn't have that. My boss has no one to turn to. No one to like embrace him and hold him as he like weeps at his own expense and like laments his own inability to conduct himself. And so when you are in a corner like that, I don't understand what do people that are not,
what do they cling to?
What do they cling to? I don't even understand how do they come back from that level of desperation? I mean, I guess it just passes, and so you just keep going because you have to, but yeah.
I don't know. We talked about that a little bit on Death with Deity. I don't remember which episode.
Yeah.
Like, what do you cling to when you receive news like Steve did?
Yeah.
About terminal brain cancer. You've got less than a year probably. What
Yeah.
do you do? How do you handle that?
Yeah.
And without the eternal perspective, I keep coming back. I don't remember who said eternal perspective, or if through listening to others, I don't know if I coined that phrase. I wouldn't lay claim to it. Anyway, the eternal perspective is what I call it. Whether I heard that somewhere else or just got the idea and started thinking more about it. If you have the perspective that you're going to live for eternity and that this portion of your life, the mortal part of it, is brief, that's your why.
Yeah.
Part of your why. It's part of putting it in, it puts it in perspective. While it seems so overwhelming that you're just being crushed with either pain or discomfort, workplace stress, relationship, drama, financial ruin, homelessness, substance abuse, pornography addiction, whatever it is. If you're struggling with any or multiple of these things, which is kind of what we're talking about when you have a whole bunch of different stressors hitting you and it all piles up and you don't even know which way to face. You're like a soldier in a foxhole, who like pops his head up and there's Nazis 360 degrees all around you. It's like you can't pop up and have cover while firing at one. You pop up and get shot 7 times from different locations. Like you can't possibly address your energy in any one direction without getting killed in the other way.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
In those dark times. And it's and what we're saying is that the only way you can cope with that is by knowing that it's serving some greater purpose. Your suffering is refining you. The Bible talks about believers are gold that God is refining. And the way that you refine gold is to put it under incredible heat, to melt it down so that the impurities rise to the top and they can be scraped off and you can be made more pure.
Yeah.
And obviously, being heated up and melted down is not a pleasant experience. So like when we go through these times of feeling like we're just under this incredible pressure, and maybe another corny way of putting it is that like, well, under a lot of pressure, carbon becomes diamonds.
Yeah,
So to be really hokey and cheesy about it.
Yeah.
That's the same kind of idea that it's like, yeah, the pressure is really intense to make something good. You don't get the diamond without the incredible amount of pressure. Otherwise, you have a chunk of charcoal.
Right.
Which is valuable.
Yeah.
We like to barbecue.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not a diamond.
It's a one-use.
It's a one-use thing.
Yeah, one-use thing. Yeah, it's fleeting. It's very fleeting.
It's fleeting. But diamonds are forever.
Diamonds are forever. Ask your girl. Yeah, and I think
that's Jared's.
That you can find tremendous relief, I think, in the idea that your suffering is creating a better version of yourself. But you can also, I mean, I think it's really important to go back to Lord of the Rings, because I think Lord of the Rings is such a great story, at least Frodo's story.
I just want to say, not for our own purposes. I don't want anyone to take that away.
Yeah.
Is that I'm not saying, hey, you'll be a better you. And that'll be great to be a better you.
Yeah, by whose standard are you being a better you?
Yeah, by God's standard. Right. God is refining you to be able to be a better tool for him.
Right.
You're being changed into something that God can use more mightily.
Yeah.
And if you cop out and say, no, God, I don't want this, I'm going to stop doing all these things that are difficult and retreat and say I refuse to deal with anything that's going to cause me stress, then you are opting out of... You're running away from God. You're being a Jonah.
Yeah.
God says, go to Nineveh, Jonah. And Jonah's like, nope. Or Jonah says, okay, God, and then flees the other way.
Yeah.
That'll work.
Yeah.
So, I mean, fortunately, if you are one of God's chosen, like, he's going to refine you. He'll find a way to put some fire and pressure on you.
Yeah.
Even if you're like, not that way, God.
Yeah.
It's like, you're going to be running from the frying pan into the fire.
Yeah.
Jumping out of one thing into another. God's like, I'm going to get you.
Yeah.
He got Jonah.
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing about this is that, and that's kind of what I was going to say, is ultimately is like, you can just let this whole thing go about being worried about it because it's actually out of your hands.
True. Yes.
God's going to get you.
He's going to get you.
One way or the other. So you might as well
You're going to serve God's purposes because he's, you guessed it, eternal and all powerful.
Yeah. And I think
you don't get to cop out.
One thing I do want to, you don't.
But you could submit to him willingly and
the
say,
first
God,
time.
Yeah.
And make things easier on yourself.
Maybe, but maybe not.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah. Maybe
but at
not.
least you would have the peace. The difference is, I think you have the peace as opposed to running.
Yeah.
Like Jonah being, you wouldn't have to get swallowed by the fish.
Right. Yeah, and I think, someone might say, hearing this, well, based off of what you're saying, this eternal stuff, you're fighting for eternity or whatever, then what's the point of this fleeting suffering that we're experiencing? Because it does seem like the primary experience of my life is suffering or whatever, and that's now. So what do I care about? Whatever. But here's what I'll say is that God, the creator of the universe, this being that is reality itself, we are existing because the Lord is paying attention to us. We are effectively just a result of his observation, has decided that this fleeting material world is important for some reason. And he hasn't revealed that to us because we don't need to know. And so you can just let it go. You don't have to have some sort of existential question about the nature of this reality, because God has decided for whatever reason that it is important. And so what you're doing is important, whether you realize it or not. We don't know why, and we may not ever know why. We may get to glory and he doesn't reveal it, but I don't think that that'll be true. But
yeah, I think we don't understand the particulars necessarily. Exactly why we're going through a certain crisis might not be revealed to us. Maybe.
Well, I'm just saying, just relative to eternity.
Oh, relative to eternity.
What is all this
why
for? Yeah.
I think the answer I've heard is that it really is just God is weaving the ultimate narrative and story.
Yeah.
And showing his glory and his ability to create and his ability to redeem a people throughout this incredibly complex, unfathomably complex narrative. He's demonstrating his power and might.
Yeah.
Which on a human level, you're like, it's awfully prideful.
Yeah. Yeah.
But but it's like God of all, I can't say of all people. It's like God of himself. Like he's allowed to do that.
Right. He's allowed to do that. And
because he has every right.
Right.
He made all of it. So what are we, it's like, the scripture says, what does the pot say to the the sculptor? It's like, why have you made me this way? It's like, what right does the pot have to say that?
Yeah.
Why did you form me this way?
Right. Right. And the second thing that I think you can find comfort in is even in to Jason's metaphor about being surrounded as a soldier and facing impossible odds, when nobody cast the ring into the fire, into Mordor. Frodo caved at the last minute. He gave in. And the only reason the ring got put into Mordor was because the god of the Lord of the Rings universe trips
Gollum.
Gollum.
Ordains that Gollum should accidentally
be the
take
one.
it in
to
the fires along with himself.
Yeah, and I think that's extremely beautiful, because it's even through all this effort that Frodo puts in and all this not giving up and all of this perseverance and all that, he still fails, but it doesn't matter, because God steps in at the last minute and preserves all that is good in the world, and preserves Frodo and Sam, and the people that need to be punished are punished. And so you're in this moment as a soldier where you're totally surrounded. You can trust that there's going to be some intervention at the last second so that good prevails. Maybe you don't survive, but
sure,
good prevails. And so you can feel I was talking to our pastor about this yesterday. I'm in the sales world, and there's so much of that world that you have no control over. It's a reason why most people don't do the job, is because it's so stressful, because you don't have control over pretty much every aspect of it. And that's very good for someone with my personality to be in, because it's very easy for me to get Mr. Hotshot. I'm the man, I'm making it happen, whatever.
Right.
And so it's very easy to be constantly faced with the reality of, like,
no, it's not up to you.
It's not up to you. I basically here via either luck or providence, depending on what you believe. But it's like all of the striving and all of the struggling, it's not that it's pointless, but it's that it's not going to be for nothing. Like, you can be assured that it's not for nothing, and it's not your own sanctification is going to happen. As a Christian, it's going to happen whether you like it or not. Now, you will like it because you're a Christian, but you will like the result. You may not like the process.
Looking back, you will realize how good it was for you.
Right.
Like a cold plunge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so you can
recognize that the discomfort that you experience in the short term is worth the long term benefits.
Yeah, worth the long term benefits, and that there was a reason for your suffering, and that there was a purpose behind all this stuff. And the final thing that I'll say here is, it allows you to not worry about the like existential nature of what you're doing. You don't have to worry about the big picture. Big picture's taken care of. You just worry about the things that are in front of you. You know, you worry about getting the manna in your basket for today.
Yeah.
The big
one
picture.
One day at a time.
Yeah, one day at a time.
One bite at a time.
Yeah, and I think it's easy to Jason said while we were talking about this that nobody grows in the fat times. You know, and it's easy to look at the big picture and dream and go, oh, in 10 years I'm going to do this or whatever. When things are better, when the rubber's
busy.
Yeah, when things are less busy, when the rubber's not met the road. But when the rubber's met the road, I think it's like poison to try to think about that kind of stuff. Like that's the worst thing you could do. And the best thing you can do is keep your head down and focus on the little steps in front of you. And later you can evaluate, you know, what changed here, what parts of my being were cut off by the Lord. What do we need to change? You know, do we need to reevaluate the goal, the mission, whatever? And I don't know, there's something profoundly, at least to me, profoundly peaceful about that, about knowing that not only can I not pay attention to the broader stuff that's around me, like I have to go hour by hour today and just what's the next meeting, what's the next who's the next call I need to make, what's the next thing I need to do.
Yeah. And
I can't even think about like, what's my name? Where am I? Like, it's just not even in the cards. And the peace that I find is that I don't have to, because all that stuff's taken care of by a God who loves me.
Right.
The broader reality. And so
there's peace in recognizing that you are a tool.
Yeah, you are
God's
a
tool basket, and you need to
be sharpened
and tuned, and to perform the hammer's not supposed to be screwing things in, or
right.
It's not part of the planning process for building the house. You just drive the nails in.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just stay in your lane.
Yeah, stay in your lane. Yeah, stay in your lane for sure. That's a big one. Stay in your lane. Yeah, and I think we wanted to kind of make the point of this to be about how these moments are formative for a human. And so I think what that is, like, you are being molded.
Yeah.
You know? And we talk about that a lot. And I'm a real big advocate for this idea of like things have implications. Like consequences exist. And the reason we don't want bad things to happen is because then bad things will happen. And so it's like Christians have all this they pay this lip service to this idea that like storms will come and God's the potter and you're the pot, and it hurts to be molded. And
I didn't mean sculptor earlier. I meant potter.
Oh, did you say sculptor?
I think so.
Oh, that's funny.
I knew it wasn't the right word, and it was bothering me.
That's the same thing. Potter, sculptor.
I thought of potter.
Yeah, it's all the same. It's all the same. Yeah, and I think it's very easy to go to Sunday service and hear those kind of things said, or talk amongst yourself at Bible study or with your boys or whatever, and say those kind of things.
Say the right things.
Yeah, and then when it comes,
trip on your face.
All of it's out the window, you know?
Yeah.
And you're just immediately like, what am Yeah, why is this happening? Yeah.
I meant hard times, not like this.
Yeah, not like actually hard times that are hard.
Yeah, like I could grit and make a Facebook post about it and be like, rough times, right? But God's got me.
Yeah. I wanted to not actually feel uncomfortable. I wanted to, like, the idea of feeling uncomfortable.
Get all the benefits.
Yeah.
I want to be a diamond without the pressure.
Yeah. And so I think you can remember in those times, and I don't think that there's actually any way out of the agony, you know?
No, it's part of the human experience.
Yeah, I think just writing it out is a huge part of what you're going to have to do.
And you can believe that there's purpose in it, or you can believe that there is no purpose in it, and just be constantly trying to quiet that noise in yourself.
Yeah.
Through whatever substance.
Yeah, alcohol,
and
porn.
Lying to yourself.
Yeah. Lying to yourself.
Choosing not to think about it as much as possible, and just becoming a superficial dumb person.
Yep. Sticking your head in the sand.
A spiritually dumb person.
Yeah. There's a what is that? There's a story.
We're just a bunch of random molecules, man. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nobody believes that in their core.
No.
If you actually for a second. Yeah.
Yeah.
It runs counter to every feeling as a human being that you have.
Right.
It doesn't answer any questions about purpose.
Yeah. We know very well what we are. I don't know if this is a
It
story.
is to deny God.
Yeah. It's to deny your nature. It is to introduce cognitive dissonance into your very being, into the
blasphemy
fabric of what you are. I don't remember if this is a
Cosmic
story.
Treason.
I'm trying to say something, Jason.
Sorry.
It is cosmic treason. That's great. That's awesome.
I don't think I came up with that.
Maybe we should rename this episode Cosmic Treason.
We could. It hasn't been named yet.
Okay, sick. Big stretch. Holy smokes.
Ethan was saying something before I interrupted him with the show.
Oh, yeah,
title.
there's this metaphor. I don't know if it's a metaphor or it's a story. I don't remember what it is, but it's a cat. Like one of the very first cats decided the nature of the race of cats because he looked up into the night sky and saw the stars and panicked and looked back down.
Huh.
And now cats are not conscious. And he made that decision.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's something to chew on. So, and I think that gets told again, it's like a Nietzschean thing, I think. The idea of looking at the abyss and it looking back, and you have this choice to look away.
Right.
Or
to blink or not.
Yeah, to blink or not. Yeah. And I think there's, I don't remember if this is exactly how the story goes. Maybe you can fill in the gaps here, but in the original story of King Arthur, when he gets the sword and he's like on the journey to become the king, doesn't he looks away, right? He gets rid of the sword and the lady in the lake brings it back, right? That's how.
Good question.
I think that's how it happens. I think he gets the sword.
Chris?
Yeah, Chris. Where's Chris? Yeah.
I'd like to phone a friend.
Yeah, dude, that's great.
Post it in the comments, Chris.
Yes, Chris,
Tell
please.
us about King Arthur.
Yeah, tell us if what I'm saying is true, but I'm pretty positive that he gets the sword and then he has to, he decides that he can't bear the responsibility of the kingship and throws it away, throws it into the water. And then the lady in the lake brings it back. And so I think the point of that story, or the point of that aspect of it, is that you're human and you are going to look away.
Okay.
Like I just
going to flinch.
Yeah. Wow. Holy smokes. Damn. Now I'm going through it. I just had this moment recently where I was watching a movie. I don't remember what it was. I can't remember, but it was late and I was watching a movie and I was alone in my office and I thought to myself, oh wow, it's okay to falter. Because I've had this idea in my head that it's like you can't give up no matter what you do, you can't give up. But it's like it's okay because you are human and you are going to need God to step in. And if you didn't, then that would defeat the purpose of this whole thing. So it is okay to like throw the sword into the lake. Like it is okay to have a moment of giving up.
That's another way that God demonstrates his glory and his forgiveness and his love, is to bring the sword back to us.
Yeah.
Is to give Jonah a second chance instead of letting him drown in the ocean, being like, guess I got to get another prophet.
Yeah.
Then Jonah gets swallowed by a fish and preserved. It's not comfortable. It's not homey down there, but he survives.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't have if God hadn't intervened in that way. It taught him a lesson and says, now you're going to go to Nineveh for real.
Right.
And Jonah goes, okay, all right. He gets a second chance at it. King David is called a man after God's own heart, which is crazy because he
is a murdering rapist.
He's a murdering, yeah. Well, I wouldn't say rapist. I think it's probably consensual, but that's
I guess that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
But
right, sorry, didn't mean to slander our boy David. Sorry, take that back.
I mean, murder's pretty bad too.
Murder's pretty
taking another man's wife, impregnating her, and then having that man executed
Yeah.
is pretty bad.
Yeah.
And he made some other pretty bad errors as well.
Yeah.
But I think the reason why he's a man after God's own heart, despite all of that, it's not that God is like, yeah, if I was human, I'd do the same thing as David.
Yeah.
It's that David, when he is confronted about his sin, when Nathan the prophet comes to him and says, you are the man, you did this exact thing, this evil, David repents and turns away from his sin and follows God. Again, after that, repents and turns away from it. And that's the key, is that we can falter like David did, like Jonah did. And that's not the end of the story, because God is merciful and forgiving.
Yeah.
There are second and third, fourth chances.
Yeah.
Like when Jesus tells his disciples that they need to forgive, and they're like, well, how many times should we forgive our brother if he comes to us 7 times in a day? And Jesus is like 70 times 7.
Yeah.
Like way more than that.
Yeah.
Like virtually, like unlimited.
Unlimited
You keep
times.
forgetting.
Yeah, you keep forgiving. Yeah.
Unlimited lives. Unlimited
Yeah.
lives.
Unlimited lives. Yeah, and I think that's got to be relieving. It's relieving to me to think I have unlimited lives.
Yep.
You know, and it's just
You are eternal.
you are eternal. Yeah, you are eternal.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
Jesus is coming back. We all have jobs to do. So I think that about wraps it up.
Yeah,
Do you have
man.
any final thoughts on that?
Just yeah. One of the guys that's like a big, you must wake up at 4 a.m. What are you, don't want to work for 12 hours a day? One of those guys just got arrested for assaulting someone at his gym.
He wasn't getting enough sleep. He kept getting up at 4.
It's all the steroids, probably. Yeah, yeah. He wasn't getting enough sleep. Yeah, exactly.
He got rage.
Yeah. He got bailed out, and then somebody, he was like at a conference or whatever for like roofing sales, and somebody asked him, "Why are you such an asshole?" And he spazzed out on stage. These people they do not live sustainable lives. And I don't mean like Wes Watson. I mean anytime you see someone, any pagan person, any like rise and grind, bulletproof coffee, orderliness, extreme person, they are going to melt down. And the path to greatness is paved by plodding along. And there's a Firas Zahavi, I think is how you say his last name. He's like one of the most prolific MMA coaches of all time. He coached George St. Pierre, which is like, in my opinion, the greatest UFC fighter to have ever lived. Firas Zahavi talks about how there's all these guys like, you're not training hard enough. You need to be doing 2 hours a day. And Firas says, well, you'll do 2 hours a day, and then you'll need 2 days off, or at least 1 day off. And he like breaks it because you overdid it. Your body's broken, whatever, and you didn't have fun. And he's like, I'm going to train. I'm going to take a beginner, and I'm going to train him for 20 minutes a day, every day, without stopping, no breaks, every single day for 20 minutes. And he's going to do it every single day for 20 minutes because he loves it. And you know what's going to happen at the end of the year? He's going to have trained for twice as long as you. That's sustainability.
And loves it.
That's sustainability. That's the flow state. When the going gets rough, the rough get going, and they don't start sprinting. They start walking.
Yeah.
Little steps, little bites. And that is how the Lord sees things. The Lord sees things in the light of eternity. He is patient. He is slow. He is doing things at his own pace, on his own time. And you will do those things at his pace and on his time, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. Remember that a day is like 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Or 1,000 years is like a day. 1,000 years to us is like a day to the Lord. It's
nothing.
It's like nothing.
Nothing.
So
yeah.
Don't get too upset that Jesus isn't returning in your lifetime.
Right.
He hasn't returned in a lot of people's lifetimes.
Yeah.
Who really wanted him to.
Yeah, and so
you probably are not going to get the cop out of being like, "Oh, good, he came back before I had a chance to before I had to go through any real difficulties.
Yeah, and it's definitely, it's a big fact of my personality. I'm a very get it done. It's got to get done. I have to do it. I'm that way, and so it's extremely difficult for me to have the humility to check down and go, today I am doing 2 tasks. And having the patience to go through the fire and be heated up, and the patience that it's very, very frustrating as the pot for the potter to take this long to form you.
Yep.
But it is the process, and there's no way through it. And so just relax. You will become the pot.
Andy Wilson likes to say that patience is one of the only lessons you can't learn quickly.
That's exactly right. Beautiful. Yeah.
And he really wants to.
Yeah.
I think it's his struggle. I was like, I get that.
Yeah.
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 Why can't I be patient now?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's it. That's the last thing I have to say is be patient. Be patient with the formation of your
and
soul.
Understand that it really will take a long time.
It really will take a long time.
Not like Dashboard Christian long time.
No.
But it's really going to take a long time.
Yeah. It's like
it's really going to suck.
Yeah. So guys, just be patient. Don't give up. And if you do give up, that's okay.
That's not the end.
It's not the end.
Not the end of the story.
Yeah. I gave up. I literally said I give up on Thursday, and here I sit.
Back at it again.
Baby.
God gave him what he needed.
Yep, exactly what I needed. All right, guys, we love you. We are praying for you. Please find a woman, go to church, take care of your people, pray ceaselessly.
Raise a family.
Yes.
Build community.
Yes.
And please share Work Hard.
Oh, yeah.
If you like it.
Yeah, if you like it. Yeah.
If you like it, we'd really appreciate the help, and just tell others about it.
Yeah. If
Share it, like it, comment it.
If I have to keep doing this job that I have for more than maybe a couple years, you might find me in my truck at the bottom of a lake. So please share Hyper Premium and work hard. We love you guys.
Save Ethan's life.
Yes. Yeah.
He's not very patient.
I'm not. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you for listening. Email us, workhard@hyperpremium.co. Any questions, comments, concerns. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.